When police opened the trunk of that Tesla, what they found froze an entire community. But the real twist didn't come from DNA or forensics, it came from the words of a younger brother. Imagine this, your own sibling exposing your darkest crime to the world. A 15-year-old girl goes missing. Months pass, no clues, no answers. Then suddenly, a family member steps forward with a confession so disturbing, it changes everything. When the truth comes from inside the house, how can justice be denied? The person Celeste trusted the most was the one who ended her life. But what shocked everyone even more, her own brother took the stand against him. What truth could be so dark that even blood ties couldn't protect it? Police investigators began by testing for blood inside the house. They used a chemical called luminol, something you may have seen on crime shows like CSI. When sprayed, luminol glows if it comes into contact with even tiny traces of blood, including stains that have been scrubbed away. Officers sprayed floors, drains, and other hidden spots, searching for any evidence that connected the home to Celeste's death. The turning point in the investigation didn't come from forensics or a dramatic police chase, it came from a voice within David's own family. The person who finally cracked the case wide open was someone nobody expected, his younger brother, Caleb. Detectives had been chasing leads for months, piecing together fragments of information, but it was Caleb's words that gave them exactly what they needed. His testimony wasn't just a detail or a clue, it was the breakthrough. Caleb described, in disturbing detail, how David took Celeste's life and then dismembered her body. It was the kind of revelation that left even seasoned investigators shaken. What stunned people most was not only the gruesome nature of his account, but the fact that it came from David's own brother. Caleb and David had always been close. To see that bond shatter under the weight of such horrifying truth was both shocking and telling. Caleb's decision to come forward showed just how heavy the reality of David's actions had become. But Caleb's testimony wasn't his first attempt to sound the alarm. Long before this confession, he had tried to raise concerns. He knew that David was romantically involved with Celeste, a girl who was just 15 years old at the time. Alarmed, he even reached out to Celeste's mother, hoping she would intervene. But nothing changed. Her mother dismissed the concerns, choosing not to act. That lack of response now feels like one of the many failures that led to tragedy. Then another voice entered the conversation, Celeste's half-brother. He wasn't cautious with his words or hesitant in his accusations. He directly pointed the finger at David, openly claiming that he was responsible for Celeste's death. But he didn't stop there. He also called out their mother, revealing that Celeste had been mistreated in her own home long before this crime took place. His account was heartbreaking. He described Celeste as a girl who never felt fully accepted or cared for by her mother. She often longed to live with their father instead, craving the stability and love she didn't feel at home. These personal stories added another layer to the tragedy. Celeste hadn't just been failed in the moment of her disappearance, she had been failed for years. For the investigators, this combination of testimony was powerful. Caleb's inside knowledge gave them concrete direction, while the half-brother's accusations painted a picture of a broken family dynamic that may have allowed the abuse to continue unchecked. Together, they created a narrative that was almost impossible to ignore. The community, already rattled by Celeste's disappearance and the gruesome discovery of her remains, now had to face the fact that people close to her had known something was wrong. Caleb had known. The half-brother had known. Even her mother, according to many, had some awareness of what was happening. And yet, no one had been able to stop it before it spiraled into tragedy. That reality is perhaps the most haunting part of the case. It wasn't just about a single act of violence, it was about the silence, neglect, and missed opportunities that allowed the violence to happen in the first place. Caleb's testimony gave police the missing piece they needed, but it also highlighted all the moments before when someone could have stepped in and changed the outcome. For many people following the case, the fact that a family member was the one to bring David down is both tragic and poetic. It shows the weight of conscience, that even blood ties cannot shield someone from the truth when the crime is this horrific. Caleb's decision to speak out not only helped investigators, but also gave Celeste a chance at justice that she might otherwise have been denied. On the other side, the half-brother's words struck a chord with the public. By exposing how Celeste's mother allegedly mistreated her, he reminded people that crimes like this don't exist in a vacuum. Victims often show signs of distress long before tragedy strikes. They often reach out, directly or indirectly, for help. Celeste wanted to live with her father. She confided in friends. She showed through her actions, like running away, that she was desperate for escape. But at every step, those signs were overlooked or dismissed. Now, in hindsight, the weight of those missed warnings feels unbearable. The community can't stop asking, what if someone had listened? What if Caleb's early warnings had been taken seriously? What if her mother had acted differently when confronted? While police are still building their case, Caleb's testimony has become the backbone of the investigation. It provides clarity, direction, and most importantly, a human account of what happened behind closed doors. His courage to come forward, despite the personal cost of turning against his brother, has shifted the case from speculation to action. And yet, the heartbreak lingers. Because Caleb's words, as powerful as they are, don't erase what happened. They don't bring Celeste back. They don't undo the years of neglect and mistreatment that paved the way for this tragedy. What they do, however, is ensure that her story isn't lost, that the truth is spoken out loud, even when it's painful, even when it comes from someone who once shared the same blood as the accused. The case of Celeste's death is about more than just one horrific act. It's about the ways families can fail, the silence of adults who should protect, and the bravery of those who finally decide to break that silence. Caleb's testimony may have given investigators the breakthrough they needed, but it also left the rest of us with a haunting reminder. Sometimes the warning signs are there all along, we just choose not to see them. His words were heartbreaking. He described how Celeste never felt safe at her mother's home and often wished she could live with her father instead. He remembered their last conversations, where she told him she wanted to come home, but never managed to escape. The investigation itself started in a shocking way. The LAPD was called to a Hollywood car impound lot after workers complained of a terrible odor. In the trunk of a Tesla, officers discovered decomposed remains later identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, who had been reported missing the year before. Although she had briefly returned home after her first disappearance, she soon ran away again. When her mother saw news reports about the remains, she contacted TMZ, who then informed authorities. That connection eventually led police to identify the body as Celeste's. Her condition made it difficult. The body had been dismembered and was badly decomposed. When investigators dug deeper into Celeste's disappearance, they quickly uncovered a disturbing truth. She had been romantically involved with a man named David, who was 20 years old at the time. The revelation alone was alarming, given that Celeste was still just a teenager. But the police didn't have to rely only on witness accounts to confirm the relationship. They discovered physical proof. Both David and Celeste had matching tattoos etched into their skin. The word was short, almost like a secret, but powerful in its meaning. That single tattoo spoke volumes. It suggested secrecy, control, and a shared bond that was never meant to be seen in the light of day. For many following the case, it became the chilling symbol of everything wrong with their relationship. At first, however, David wasn't universally condemned. Some people defended him, arguing that perhaps he was being unfairly connected to the crime. After all, his car, the one where Celeste's remains were eventually found, was sometimes used by his friends. Supporters clung to the possibility that someone else might have been responsible, that David's connection was just bad luck or coincidence. But everything changed once the public realized that David had been romantically linked to a 15-year-old girl. That detail shattered whatever defense people had built around him. What was once doubt turned into outrage, and the conversation shifted from protecting David's image to questioning how long this relationship had been going on and how so many people had missed the warning signs. The internet, as it so often does, became a powerful tool in uncovering the truth. Curious strangers and determined sleuths started combing through David's old social media posts, looking for anything that hinted at his involvement with Celeste. What they found was both shocking and heartbreaking. Photos and captions showed David openly flaunting his relationship, though at the time, most people didn't realize the girl in those posts was underage. The signs were hiding in plain sight. To make matters worse, an old comment resurfaced on one of his TikTok videos. Written long before the tragedy, it read like a warning from the future, waiting on LAPD to get you for messing with a 13-year-old. That comment hit differently now. Back when it was first posted, it may have looked like nothing more than an internet troll taking a jab at him. But in the aftermath of Celeste's death, people began asking themselves whether that commenter actually knew something. Was it just a hunch, or had people around David been aware of his involvement with minors all along? As this detail spread, the case became even darker in the public eye. It wasn't just about a crime of passion or a single horrific act. The evidence suggested a pattern, a relationship that had started when Celeste was much younger, possibly as young as 13. And if that was true, then this wasn't just a tragedy, but a long-term cycle of exploitation. The matching tattoos, the resurfaced comment, the old posts, all of it painted a picture of a young girl trapped in a relationship with a man who should have known better. And yet, instead of hiding it, David had flaunted the connection online, confident that no one would question it too deeply. For investigators, this shift in public perception mattered. Suddenly, witnesses were more willing to come forward. Friends of Celeste began sharing their private conversations, and neighbors started speaking about the things they had seen. The digital trail David left behind became a roadmap of evidence, giving law enforcement not only a clearer picture of his relationship with Celeste, but also a timeline of how long it had been going on. And for the public, the revelation was sobering. People began to realize that the signs were there all along. The tattoos, the posts, the warnings buried in comment sections. The truth wasn't hiding in the shadows, it had been right in front of everyone. It just took Celeste's disappearance and the devastating discovery of her remains for people to finally connect the dots. Rumors from Celeste's friends and neighbors soon painted an even darker picture. Many accused her mother of turning a blind eye because David was giving the family money. Some claimed her friends were also being paid off to stay quiet. Questions grew louder. If Celeste's mom truly feared for her safety, why didn't she mention David to police when reporting her missing? Not the first time, and not even the second. She only named him once her daughter's remains were discovered. Police later searched David's home, which was just minutes from where the Tesla was found. Investigators now suspect Celeste may have been killed and dismembered there before her body was moved to the impound lot. Reports show luminol testing was used inside the house, though results have not yet been made public. Neighbors added more disturbing context. They claimed David had been involved with Celeste since she was as young as 13, and that her family allowed it because of the money he provided, sometimes as much as $10,000 a week. Screenshots of messages between David and Celeste even showed her complaining about her parents, to which he responded, "Don't worry, I'll fix it," implying he would pay them off. Community members in Lake Elsinore, where Celeste once lived, also spoke out. One local revealed that Celeste had been sneaking out to see David since she was 11, and by 13, her parents openly let her stay with him because of his financial support. Friends confirmed that both her mother and peers accepted money in exchange for silence. The tragic reality is that Celeste was failed by nearly everyone around her. While the police have yet to officially name a suspect, the evidence, testimony, and disturbing financial arrangements all point to a devastating pattern of neglect and exploitation. Back in 2024, long before most people even knew about David and Celeste, someone left a chilling comment on one of David's videos. A user named Robin River warned that the police would eventually catch him for being involved with minors. At the time, Celeste would have been only 13. That comment didn't get much attention back then, but now, with everything that's come out, people are revisiting it and wondering if Robin knew more than the rest of us. As this story unfolded, Celeste's friends suspected early on that the body in the car was hers. Before police even confirmed it, they were sharing messages on Discord, saying things like, "I'm terrified that's who's in the trunk." Nobody's heard from her in months. These were kids who knew her personally, and their fear was real. They remembered the way David treated her during their relationship. He had photos of her on his Instagram, matching tattoos with her, and even gifted her an engagement ring. But just days before her disappearance, her friends said she deleted her account, wiped all her pictures, and stopped responding to messages. That silence lined up with the exact time David is accused of ending her life. Then came the leaked private messages. In them, David admitted he was giving Celeste's family more than $10,000 a month and even claimed she was pregnant. Friends also shared screenshots of Celeste's deleted user Discord account, where she often talked to David and once posted a photo of herself wearing that engagement ring with his name tattooed on her skin. Neighbors later revealed that David had been seen in her community often, sometimes driving through, sometimes picking her up. And while her mother claimed she didn't know the extent of their relationship, many in her circle believed she looked the other way because of the money. What made this case even stranger was David's own brother, Caleb, stepping forward. According to reports, Caleb is horrified by what David did and is ready to help investigators. Police turned to him after David stopped cooperating, and insiders say his testimony could give them the final pieces of the puzzle. But beyond the evidence, it's David's music that has disturbed people the most. Lyrics from his songs now sound eerily connected to Celeste. In Romantic Homicide, he sings, "In the back of my mind, you died and I didn't even cry." Fans can't shake the feeling that these weren't just songs, but confessions written long before Celeste's disappearance. Adding fuel to suspicions, David's performances also raised eyebrows. At one recent concert, he brought out caskets as stage props, encouraging fans to write notes to the dead. For many, this crossed from edgy art into something far darker, especially after Celeste's body was found. Then there's the timing. Celeste's birthday was September 7th. Coincidentally, or maybe not, Romantic Homicide was released on September 7th 3 years earlier. His last TikTok post was also on September 7th, with images resembling text messages, and there were exactly 15 of them, the same age Celeste had just turned. To some, these connections feel like more than coincidence. David is 20 years old. Celeste was just 15. Their relationship was not only illegal, but deeply exploitative. And while David once dismissed concerns in his lyrics with lines like, "I don't care about the law when I'm with you because I be breaking it all the time," those words now serve as a haunting reminder of just how far this tragedy may have been planned. The deeper people look, the darker it gets. Celeste's friends, family, and community are left grieving, while investigators continue piecing together evidence. One thing is certain, this case is far from over. An old track David once uploaded to SoundCloud has now resurfaced, and the title alone is chilling, Celeste. As you'd expect, the lyrics were about her. He sang, "Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed. Oh, Celeste. Afraid you'll only love me when undressed. But you look so damn gorgeous in that dress. Missing you so much makes me depressed." Fans who dug up the track couldn't believe the words. And to make things even darker, an old clip from one of his music videos began circulating, showing him placing a lifeless body in the trunk of a car. Looking back now, many think he was foreshadowing exactly what happened to Celeste. It wasn't just online clues either. One of Celeste's former teachers later spoke up, saying he personally witnessed David picking her up after school. He admitted people wondered why he didn't try harder to stop it, but the heartbreaking truth is this: her parents already knew and didn't intervene. Even if others tried, Celeste had a pattern of running away from home, and she likely would have gone back to David anyway. The timeline is devastating. Celeste had been missing since April 2024. By the time police found her, her body was in an advanced state of decomposition. For many, the details simply don't add up, especially since the Tesla where her remains were found was never reported stolen. People online are furious. One commenter said, "He needs to be arrested quick before he hides evidence or takes his own life. They're letting him get away with it more every day. How sick. Get him and get him quick before he hurts someone else out of paranoia and rage." At this point, the evidence looks heavier by the day, and the pressure on authorities keeps growing. But now the big questions are, do you believe David is truly responsible for Celeste's death? And what do you think about his own brother turning against him? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget, if you want the full breakdown of the earlier parts of this case, click here to watch the next video.